I see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd. Some folks I haven't seen you in a while. Let's start right away with introductions for our cast. Hiding in the corner over here, this whole week has been a story of overcoming to do this show. And our first actor, of course, overcame meetings in Mountain Iron, drove there and back, snow, who knows what else. Diane Adams, ladies and gentlemen, your librarian. Right next to her, a young lady who has graced our stage many, many times. We're thrilled to have her back, Carice Boyer. And speaking of thrilled to have her back, for the first time, and it feels like forever, the lovely, the talented, the extremely diverse Ayla McIntosh is here. I'm going over here so you can see these wonderful people. Next up, Natalie Attired. What was the award you won? Tell me again. The AAA award, which sounds impressive, doesn't it? We think of him as the teen of 1,000 voices. Mitchell Erickson is here. Next to that, of course, I think he's been in every show for about 2 years straight. Lance Manley himself, Caleb Silvers. And when you need an Orson Welles or you need a Nero Wolfe, which unfortunately we're not doing tonight, it's Justin Kapla. And helping us out at the IBRT for the first time in a couple of years, actually, it's Sonara Irwin will be our sound effects engineer this evening. Okay. So a couple of things once we get the show up and going. The bathroom's in the same place. If you've been to the Salty Jester before, if you've never been, it's just down this hall. Keep going almost until you've got to the door leading outside, and it is there. I'm not sure, Rayanne, are you going to be manning the beautiful new bar?
Eventually.
Okay. How's about tonight? Okay, anyway, so food and drink, of course, available. This is, of course, a radio show. We have somewhat of a visual component, but feel free to get up and go and buy more stuff during the show if you like. We will be taking a short intermission at about the halfway point. Let's see, what all we got? Oh, yes, now, the big thing that we always like to mention is that we are more than just a pretend radio drama company. We actually broadcast our shows live on our streaming station. And we're going to do that right after we get to sound check. Everyone, let's come up, test our microphones, and also test our voices. Let's see.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Greetings.
Hello.
Well met.
Testing. Ooh. Turn that one down. Okay, which one was that?
Probably mine.
He wasn't popular.
I think it's better now. I think that was a bit hot.
That was a bit hot. Justin, step
Just
over
slightly.
on the telephone there.
Hello, testing.
Let's see.
Nothing, testing.
I think you need to redial that one.
Yeah,
Hello.
I'm not seeing the problem with that.
Looks like that meme of like, what are we doing today?
Well, I'm down here trying to talk on the phone to everybody, and I just can't quite seem to do it. The connection's just bad. It's that AT&T. AT&T.
It was working a minute ago.
Pay your phone bill.
Testing.
Pay your phone bill.
Never, you can't make me.
Let me try one thing. Yes, it was. Seriously, it was working. That's what I was thinking. Although it'd be more like a battery going bad situation.
Hello, testing.
You know what?
I heard something.
Yeah, it popped a bit. I don't have any idea. This is why you do sound check, folks. Here in the very professional world of radio drama. Yeah, I got a second there.
I think there's like slam dancing upstairs or something.
Oh, are they doing that again? This was fun. Last time we did a show.
Try and incorporate it into the script when we can.
Do we have any caber tossing scenes? That could be.
Okay. All right. Looks like the telephone mic is off. So our two actors on telephone will just have to use our imagination. As I was saying, now that we all know that, we are not a pretend radio drama company. We do broadcast live on our streaming station. It's got listeners all over the world, not a bunch, but there are a few listeners that we're very happy to see from Russia and Thailand and Germany and England and other places, or at least that's where their IP addresses are. So, getting ready to go live. Let me just make sure. Yes, we are good. Sonara, are you ready? Okay. Okay, Icebox Radio Theater going live in 5, 4, 3. It's 7 o'clock at the edge of America, and the Icebox Radio Theater is on the air. We now preempt our regular programming for a special presentation. Stay tuned for a live broadcast from the Icebox Radio Theater. Now it's 7 o'clock on the edge of America, and the Icebox Radio Theater is on the air. Live from the stage of the newly remodeled Salty Jester, the Northland's premier venue for live entertainment, it's the Icebox Radio Theater. Tonight, we present an evening of romance, featuring classic radio drama from Our Miss Brooks, heartwarming comedy from Chicago playwright David Finney, and a world premiere episode of Lance Manley, Library Detective. All this and more on the Icebox Radio Theater. But first, a word from our sponsor. Are you tired of the usual dating apps? Had enough trying to find love through software that was probably written thousands of miles away by programmers who don't understand your delicate sensibilities?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, of course you're not. You're painfully shy, but you still want love. You want excitement. You want romance.
I do. But those dating apps are so impersonal. Swiping left just seems mean.
You swipe left sometimes?
And that's where Easy Date comes in.
Easy Date? What's that?
The new dating app built by and for the people of the Northland. We're sensitive up here in northern Minnesota.
Even though we don't always show it.
Exactly. Traditional dating apps only give you the choice of rejecting or accepting a potential love connection. But Easy Date is different.
How so?
Depending on how you swipe, you can send dozens of messages to people reaching out for you.
So, like, if I just wanted to have coffee?
Swipe down and to the left.
What if I was only interested in dinner and a movie?
Swipe an X sign beginning in the lower left.
Are one-night stands okay?
Probably not, but if you want one, just make a circle and then cross it out.
What if I just want a date for my cousin's wedding when I'd been telling my family I was engaged to a guy from Canada, only he doesn't exist?
Swipe the maple leaf in quotation marks.
Will that also work for my imaginary girlfriend in Edmonton?
Sort of.
Okay, what if I want to meet for dinner, then go for a walk in the park late at night where I get my friend to pretend to be a mugger so I can beat him up to impress her?
Just swipe the bat signal.
Okay. I want to go on 3 dates. Kissing after the second, and you know what after the third. Setting a June date for our destination wedding in either Cancun or Jamaica. Kids optional, but I still get 2 hours a night to read Jane Austen novels. And no matter where we live, we have to have a clawfoot tub.
Just swipe up.
What about, weird stuff?
Just swipe down.
I'm talking really weird stuff.
You mean really weird?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe just stay on Tinder. That's Easy Date. Available on all platforms. Make it easy today.
What if I just want a handsome guy to paint my bathroom?
Craigslist. Don't go crazy.
Our first feature tonight is an offering from, without question, one of the greatest comedy series from radio's golden age. Our Miss Brooks was a hit when it debuted on CBS in 1948 and was one of the few programs to successfully make the jump to television, where it aired from 1952 to 1956. Starring the unflappable Eve Arden, Our Miss Brooks tells of the trials and tribulations of Connie Brooks, a high school high school teacher in post-war America who must deal with earnest students, officious principals, and a clueless chemistry teacher who can never quite see Miss Brooks's many invitations to romance. Tonight's episode, Puppy Love, was first aired on CBS Radio on February 4th, 1951. So come back with us now for the classic radio drama as we welcome Ayla McIntosh as our Miss Brooks.
It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, under the direction of Jeffrey Adams. Well, like most school teachers, our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, has been exposed to her share of puppy love.
I'll say I have. It's getting so I can't look a puppy in the face without flinching. But the kids at school are nothing compared to the case I discovered at home between my landlady, Mrs. Davis, and Horace Barlow, the school's new basement custodian. Although she met him a week ago at a school tea, up until Thursday morning at breakfast, she kept denying anything but a passing interest in him.
Please, Connie, just because Horace Barlow has been over a few times is no reason for people to jump to conclusions. My goodness, Horace isn't jumping to conclusions.
At his age, Horace is lucky if he can limp to conclusions. But I've seen you two together, Mrs. Davis.
As far as I'm concerned, I think of Horace as just a real nice boy.
Oh, and he is, too. A real nice 68-year-old boy.
He happens to be 54, Connie. He told me so himself.
Oh, I know, Mrs. Davis, and Jack Benny is 39. Not that I'm criticizing your friendship, far from it. I'm delighted that Horace is so genuinely fond of you.
Oh, Connie, Horace doesn't even know I'm alive.
Well, don't let that worry you. It's hard to tell about him most of the time.
Anyway, I'm simply not interested in anything but the most casual relationship. Heavens, if I were thinking seriously, I'd try to find out something about the man, wouldn't I?
Haven't you?
Definitely not. I'm not even mildly curious. I haven't the slightest idea where he keeps his $10,000 life insurance policy, and I have no knowledge whatsoever of how his leg got wounded in the Mexican War, for which he gets a $53 a month pension. I don't even know at what bank he keeps his $2,619 savings account.
Oh, shame on you. You haven't even got his social security number.
It's 498265.
Oh, that's Walter Denton. He's taking me to school.
I'll be right there, Walter.
Now, Mrs. D, is there anything you want me to say to Mr. Barlow if I happen to see him at school?
Oh, not a thing, Connie.
Okay.
There's no necessity of even mentioning to him that I'm not busy tonight.
I see.
And there's no need for any remarks about the cake I'm baking today being too big for one person to finish alone.
I'll be as silent as the tomb.
And above all, it would be utterly shameless if he were to hear that I don't want to waste the box of cigars that I bought yesterday.
Oh, you can trust me implicitly, Mrs. Davis. I won't say a word to Mr. Barlow. I'll just hit him on the head and drag him home. Well, I'm glad you picked me up early this morning, Walt. I've got an errand to do for Mrs. Davis before my class.
Oh, I'll get you there with the speed of gazelle, Miss Brooks. Oh, by the way, how's Mrs. Davis' romance with Mr. Barlow coming along?
Oh, have you noticed that, too? I think it's the cutest thing in the world. Mrs. Davis actually has a bad case of puppy love.
It is cute, considering she's in her second puppyhood. No disrespect intended. You understand. After all, what can be more romantic than two lonely old people encountering the grand passion in the sere and yellow leaf of life?
Why, that's absolutely poetic, Walter.
The burning desires of youth long past, they look now for the subdued glow of companionship, the warm and simple pleasures that two elderly people in love can share together.
I can see them now, soaking their feet in the same pan of Epsom salts.
I bet you'd like to find romance at that age, Miss Brooks.
At the rate I'm going, I'm counting on it. But, Walter, I'd just as soon you don't mention the subject at school. It might be a source of embarrassment to Mr. Barlow.
My trap is sealed, Miss Brooks. Now, what's the errand you're going to do for Mrs. Davis this morning?
Well, off the record, I'm going to invite Mr. Barlow over to the house tonight. He's been a little backward about asking for a date.
I get it. You're Mrs. Davis' John Alden. Now all you've got to do is get Mr. Barlow to invite Mr. Boynton over and you're all set.
Meeting's adjourned.
Hi, Miss Brooks. You're pretty early today, aren't you?
Oh, hello, Harriet. I've got to deliver a message to the custodian. Have you seen him?
Oh, yes. Mr. Barlow's just went into his office. Isn't it wonderful, Miss Brooks?
Well, I don't know. I've never seen his office.
I mean about Mr. Barlow and Mrs. Davis. They're crazy about each other. Of course, it's a big secret.
It couldn't be a bigger secret if they took out an ad.
Is there anything more romantic than the mellow romance of old age?
Now, please, Harriet.
To think of two people finding love at a time of life when others are preparing to pass on. Two people walking hand in hand in the twilight of life.
Yes, there's nothing like a brisk walk before our passing on.
Well, I won't keep you any longer. Far be it from me to delay Mrs. Davis's embassy of love. Good luck on your mission, John Alden.
Oh, thank you, Priscilla.
Come in.
I hope I'm not disturbing you, Mr. Barlow, but there's something I wanted to ask you.
Well, then go ahead and ask. You want to get apples, you got to shake the tree. Well, what is it?
Well, it's just this. I was wondering if tonight, that is if you haven't any other plans, Mrs. Davis isn't doing anything, and I'm sure she'd be pleased if you wanted to drop over.
Well, that's right neighborly. Would you like me to drop over?
Well, of course. I'm sure you and Mrs. Davis will have a lovely evening together.
Are you planning on staying in, Miss Brooks?
I suppose so, Mr. Barlow, but I'm sure at your age you don't need a chaperone.
You're right about that. Maybe we could send Mrs. Davis to the movies.
Send Mrs. Davis to the movies?
Sure. Oh, there's no sense in my trying to hide any longer. Why, the only reason I've been coming around Mrs. Davis' place is to be near you.
Near me? But you've been making dates with Mrs. Davis.
Well, naturally. You got to slip the drones a little honey if you want to get next to the queen bee.
Oh, you, Mr. Barlow, are barking up the wrong hive. Well, this is ridiculous. I simply can't believe this is happening.
Oh, I wouldn't believe it myself. I just couldn't understand the feeling that swept over me when I first saw you, Miss Brooks. In fact, since that time, I've had my glasses changed twice, but it's still the same. I keep asking myself, where have you been all my life?
Well, for 3/4 of it, I wasn't even born. Oh, look, Mr. Barlow, there's a great difference in our ages.
Oh, nonsense, Miss Brooks. I don't believe in age.
Well, neither do I. I've been standing it off for years. I mean, if you'll think this over for a while, you'll realize it just couldn't work out.
Oh, why not? There's somebody else playing piano in your front parlor?
No, but Mr. Boynton plays the ukulele on my back porch. We've been going together for quite a while now.
You mean that biology fella? Ah, shucks, he's just an unsophisticated kid. Why, you couldn't warm him up if you stuck a Bunsen burner under him.
You've been peeking. That is, Mr. Boynton's just shy about expressing his feelings.
Well, he ain't got no feelings if you ask me. Leastwise, not like I have. Especially since I met you. Why, I just knew today was going to bring some excitement into my life. I got the strangest sensation right after breakfast.
Well, maybe something fell into your gruel.
There's no two ways about it. I'm smitten.
Well, would it unsmit you if I told you that I'm engaged to Mr. Boynton?
Engaged? But he wasn't even over to your place the night I visited Mrs. Davies.
Well, he must have been working. If you come over tonight, I'm sure he'll be there.
Well, seeing is believing. I'll drop by, Miss Brooks. But I still say, when it comes to you bringing messages from Mrs. Davis, speak for yourself, John Alden.
Oh, there's no use talking. These man-tailored suits have got to go. Well, I was quite chagrined to find out that Horace Barlow was more interested in me than he was in Mrs. Davis. This was one triangle I was determined would not be eternal, not even overnight. Therefore, at lunchtime, I headed for Mr. Boynton's table in the cafeteria, but just as I got halfway to it... Oh, Mr. Conklin, I'm terribly sorry, sir.
You're slipping, Miss Brooks. You only knocked 2 dishes off my tray today.
Well, I guess I didn't watch where I was going.
Obviously. When you do, you get the whole tray.
Well, luckily nothing happened to your apple pie. The plate is broken, but the pie is intact. Here.
Thank you. Even more luckily, nothing seems to have gotten on my clothes.
No, sir. I've never seen you look so neat. White carnation and all.
I spoke too soon. That's vanilla ice cream.
Oh, this never would have happened, sir, but I'm terribly preoccupied today.
This must be Preoccupied Day at Madison High. I've had nothing but trouble with our new school custodian for the same reason.
You mean Mr. Barlow?
Yes, he forgets about the furnace. He forgets to fix the pipes. The old goat acts as if he was in love.
Well, maybe he is in love.
Oh, but who could a 70-year-old codger be in love with?
He happens to be 54.
Yes, and Jack Benny's 39. Horace Barlow in love. At his age, he probably can't tell the difference between a woman and a kangaroo.
Probably not. Well, if you'll excuse me, I'll be hopping off to lunch. No doubt I'll run into you later in the day, Mr. Conklin.
It is with that thought in mind I carry every possible form of accident and hospitalization insurance. Good day, Miss Brooks.
Good day, Mr. Conklin. Oof. Got a lot of nerve just because a person's lived a few more years than some other person.
I don't like to interrupt, Miss Brooks, but if you keep talking to yourself, you're going to make an eavesdropper out of me.
I'm sorry, Walter. I've had a little shock this morning. You see, I spoke to Horace Barlow a short time ago about making a date with Mrs. Davis.
What'd he say?
He said he's not interested in Mrs. Davis. He's smitten with somebody else.
Somebody else? But he can't do that to Mrs. Davis. She's a sensitive little lady, and she's nuts about him. She'll be terribly hurt.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of.
He doesn't know when he's well off. I'd like to see the hunk of crowbait he's fallen for.
Now, just a minute, Walter. It so happens that Mr. Barlow thinks he's in love with me.
With you? But that's illegal. It's unthinkable. It's...
Let's just call it unusual. Actually, Walter, I'm extremely worried about the situation. Mrs. Davis and I have been friends for too long to let a thing like this come between us.
Well, why don't you just tell Barlow to go peddle his papers?
Well, I did, practically. I even told him I was engaged to Mr. Boynton. See, that's what I'm worried about. They're both coming over tonight, and I've got to prove it.
Well, what's so tough about that? I'm sure Mr. Boynton will cooperate.
You are?
Sure. For one night.
Oh.
Now, the next thing you gotta do is get Mrs. Davis out of the house tonight. Because if she caught you with Mr. Boynton acting as if you were engaged, she'd know there was something rotten in Denmark.
What a sweet way to put it. But, Walter, how do I get Mrs. Davis out of the house?
Well, that's easy. There's an old bachelor friend staying at the house for a couple of days. I'm Mr. Gordon. I'm sure he'd like a date with a nice, clean-cut character like Miss Davis. And I'll ask her to go out with him as a favor to my folks.
Well, what about Mr. Barlow? She expects him tonight.
Well, just tell her he couldn't make it and say his blood pressure hit a new high or something. Now, you go call Mr. Boynton, and I'll call home and make sure Mr. Gordon's available to act as Davis bait for the evening. See you later, Miss Brooks.
Well, all right, Walter, and thanks. Me in the night and the music. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, Mr. Boynton, I've got to talk to you right away.
Oh, well, what's wrong, Miss Brooks?
Well, it's about Mrs. Davis. You know, she's got a crush on the school's custodian, Mr. Barlow, but unfortunately, he's head over heels in love with someone else.
Please, Miss Brooks, don't make me laugh while I'm drinking coffee. Mr. Barlow's an old man. What kind of shriveled-up old prune could he fall for?
Well, why does it have to be a prune? For all you know, Mr. Barlow could be crazy about a nice, young, firm, fuzzy peach. Besides, he's only 48.
Why, he's 70 at least, and not what you'd call in prime condition. Why, his hypothyroidism is apparent, and his incipient arterial sclerosis masking cardiac decompensation was evident to me after one glance.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't take a second glance. He'd be a goner. The truth is, Mr. Boynton, that Mr. Barlow has been coming to our place just to be near me. If I'd have known you were going to get so excited, I'd have worn my raincoat. Here, use this napkin.
I'm sorry, Miss Brooks, but I couldn't help exploding. You mean to tell me Mr. Barlow is in love with you?
That's right. We hyperthyroids have to stick together. Look, Mr. Boynton, I know it's an absurd situation, but my only real concern is Mrs. Davis. I've got to discourage Mr. Barlow once and for all, and you've got to help me.
Me? What can I do?
Well, he's coming over to our place tonight. I invited him on behalf of Mrs. Davis. That's when he told me how he felt about me, and that's when I told him something utterly fantastic.
What did you tell him?
That you and I were engaged to be married. Here's the napkin.
Engaged to be married? But Miss Brooks, that's utterly fantastic.
I'm glad I said it first. Don't you see, Mr. Boynton, this is very important to someone who's very important to me. Mrs. Davis is just about the best friend I've got.
Well, if that is the case, Miss Brooks, I guess the least I can do is cooperate.
Oh, will you really, Mr. Boynton?
Sure, for one night.
Oh.
Oh, boy, I'm full. That was a very fine dinner, Miss Brooks.
Well, I'm glad you liked it, Mr. Boynton. I opened it all by myself. I hope Mr. Gordon took Mrs. Davis to a nice place for dinner. He appears to be a jolly old fellow, doesn't he?
Yes, indeed, and I noticed he gave you a pretty thorough once-over when you were introduced. You seem to pack quite a wallop for these elderly Joes.
That's me, the Cleopatra of the cardiac cases. But I've got to clear away these dishes. Mr. Barlow will be here any minute.
Well, if that's the case, shouldn't we be getting into the mood?
The mood?
Well, yes, we're supposed to be engaged, aren't we?
Oh, that mood. Why, Mr. Boynton, I can hardly believe my ears.
Why? There's no sense making a chore of this thing. We might as well have some fun with it.
Fun with it?
Well, certainly. Let's get started.
Get started?
Well, the quicker the better.
The quicker the better?
Of course. Come on.
Come on? I mean, come on.
Well, sure. You wash and I'll dry.
So much for the hopes of Connie Brooks, girl dreamer. Look, Mr. Boynton, working in the kitchen is the way married people would get into the mood. Engaged couples do their work in the parlor, with soft lights.
Okay. We'll take a big basin of water and do the dishes in the parlor.
Oh, sometimes I wish you were ugly. Come on, Mr. Boynton. I'll attend to the dishes later. Let's sit down in the living room,
All right, Miss Brooks. It isn't too healthy to commence working too soon after a meal anyway.
Oh, that must be Mr. Barlow. Just make yourself comfortable and I'll let him in.
Well, here I am, Brooksy. Fit as a fiddle and twice as musical.
Oh, come in, Mr. Barlow. I fixed a little dinner this evening for my fiancé. We've just finished eating. Follow me, won't you?
Your fiancé? Then you mean you actually...
Hello, darling. Did you miss me?
Oh, miss you?
Well, I hated to leave you alone for so many seconds, but I just had to let Mr. Barlow in. You remember Mr. Barlow, don't you, dear?
Oh, of course. How are you, Mr. Barlow?
Well, snappy as a cookie and twice as full of ginger. But let's get to the point. Miss Brooks here told me that you two are engaged. Is that true?
Well, yes. Yes, it is.
Well, then how come nobody around school's heard anything about it?
Because we wanted it that way. We've been secretly engaged for over 6 months now, haven't we, darling?
We certainly have, Miss Brooks.
Miss Brooks? Why does he call you Miss Brooks if you're going to be married?
He doesn't like any display of affection in front of company. Let's sit down, shall we? Mr. Barlow, draw up a chair, won't you? And, sweetheart, you draw up a chair and we'll sit down.
Oh, we? On the same chair? But, Miss Brooks, I worked out with the basketball team yesterday and my knees are a little weak.
Oh, it may be a foul, but I'll never get a shot like this again. Sit down, dear. There, are we comfy?
Yeah.
Seems mighty strange to me. Most engaged folks I've seen act a little more demonstrative than you do.
Oh, but we're mad for each other, aren't we, darling?
Yeah. Mad.
You know, dearie, you haven't kissed me in 5 minutes.
What?
I said you haven't kissed me in 5 minutes. What are we going to do about that?
Oh, let's wait another 5.
Oh, what's the matter, darling? You want to kiss me, don't you?
Maybe it's me, Miss Brooks.
Oh, no, I'm positive he doesn't want to kiss you. Oh, you mean he doesn't want to kiss me in your presence? Well, I'm sure that wouldn't stop my great, big, handsome lover boy, would it, dearest?
Well, certainly not. Give me your cheek. There.
Wow. Now how about one to get me down off the ceiling?
Maybe I ought to go.
Oh, but why, Mr. Barlow? You just got here.
I know, but won't I be interrupting something?
Only if you go. I mean, stick around a little while longer. Oh, I'll see who it is. Don't move, either of you.
Sorry to disturb you, Connie, but I forgot my key again.
Mrs. Davis, what are you doing home so early? Here, let me help you off with your coat and eyeglasses.
Mr. Gordon showed me the most wonderful time, Connie, but he has a business appointment first thing in the morning, so we had to cut our date a bit short. Oh, who's that in the living room?
Oh, that's Mr. Boynton.
Oh, I see. And who's the man in the other chair?
Oh, that's Mr. Boynton, too. He's awfully restless tonight.
Oh, now I see who that is, Mr. Barlow. But it's Mr. Barlow. You told me he wasn't coming over tonight.
Well, he must have changed his mind. Listen, Mrs. Davis, when two people have a beautiful friendship, they've got to do everything in their power to keep it from breaking up, right?
Let's talk later, dear. I've got to get these shoes off at once. Mr. Gordon just danced my tootsies into a stupor. He's a wonderful man, Connie. That's why I'd like you to do me a little favor.
A favor?
Yes, when you go back into the living room.
What do you want me to do, Mrs. Davis?
Brush off that other old creep, will you?
You mean Mr. Barlow?
Yes, I haven't the heart to hurt his feelings.
Well, it'll save a lot of explanations, I guess, but I know I'm going to get two birds with one stone.
What do you mean, Connie?
Well, as soon as the old duck is gone, my little lovebird will take off like a wounded pelican. Well, I told Mr. Barlow that Mrs. Davis had returned home with a bad headache, and he left the house after threatening to call her up very soon. And then, as I was about to barricade the door against Mr. Boynton's next move, he addressed me.
Well, I'm sorry Mrs. Davis doesn't feel well, Miss Brooks. Is she lying down in her room?
Yes, she is, Mr. Boynton.
Well, that just leaves the two of us, doesn't it?
Yes, but don't be nervous. It's much too early for you to think of leaving.
Oh, I'm not thinking of leaving, Miss Brooks. You and I still have plenty of unfinished business to attend to.
Unfinished business?
Well, certainly.
You and I?
That's right. After all, someone's got to do those dinner dishes. Why don't you wash and I'll dry?
Better still, you wash and dry. I've got another engagement.
Another engagement?
Sure, if I hurry, I can catch Mr. Barlow before he gets on the bus.
This has been our Miss Brooks. Puppy Love was written by Al Lewis. This production directed by Jeff Adams. Diane Adams played Mrs. Davis. Mitch Erickson was Walter. Carice Boyer was Harriet. Jeff Adams played Mr. Barlow. Justin Kapla was Mr. Conklin. Caleb Silvers was Mr. Boynton. And Ayla McIntosh is our Miss Brooks. One more big hand.
Next up on the Icebox Radio Theater, we have a little Valentine's Day leftover for you. Like that piece of candy you discover behind the couch, this short subject should be approached with a little caution and a dash of common sense. Because there are many different kinds of love, and friendship can run as deep as the romantic variety, especially when the couple, in this case two fishing buddies, know each other as well as any married pair. You'll see what I mean as Yins and Dougie come in from the fish house for dinner at their favorite resort, forgetting that it's Valentine's Day, in our next feature, In from the Cold.
Whew. Oh, yeah, it's a cold one.
Coldest night this year by far.
And you didn't want to come in from the fish house.
I never said I didn't want to come in. I just wasn't sure. And since we had to push the boat a few hundred yards...
Oh, now don't you start with me. Not my fault the ice is rotten this year.
Don't know why I let you talk me into going fishing.
Because you love it.
Every single February.
Oh, you like fishing almost as much as you like complaining about it. That's why I said let's go into the resort and get us a steak.
Every single February.
Look, we're out of the house, aren't we? We come in for the night. Let's just get a steak and a beer and forget about it.
Every single February.
Hello, Shirley.
Hey, boys, you been fishing?
Yep.
Well, you caught anything?
No, the ice is bad.
Oh, yeah. Them walleyes tend to stay away from bad ice. What can I do for you men?
Steak and a beer, Cheryl. We need a table.
A table?
Yeah, problem?
Well, don't you boys know what day it is?
But what's that got to do with anything?
Oh, he ain't closed, are you, Cheryl?
Oh, perfect.
No, we're open, but you sure you don't know what day it is?
Well, it's Thursday. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, Thursday the 14th. It's Valentine's Day.
Why do you think I went out to the fish house? That's my Valentine to the wife.
Well, you see, we got this special on.
So?
What kind of special?
Prime rib.
Well, that sounds good.
But, see, we're kind of decorated for the place, fixed it up for Valentine's. We even brought in this fella from the cities to wait tables.
Well, so, get us a table.
Well, we're kind of reserved for couples.
All right, so we're a couple.
What?
You want the prime rib or don't you?
I don't know, Jens.
Are you sure, boys? I mean, we had a cancellation and everything, so there's a table.
Well, then let's go. Me and my Valentine are hungry.
Jens?
All right, boys, you asked for it. Walk over to the dining room there and Pierre will seat you.
Ooh, Pierre.
I don't know about this.
Oh, come on. She said prime rib. Now that's all I can think about. Let's go.
Oh, boy.
Take it easy.
Come on, it's all couples.
We're a couple.
Quit saying that.
Relax, you old woman. We want a meal. We need to sit in here. Just a couple paper hearts and streamers.
And cupids, and candles, and low lighting, nice music, and about 1 million couples. Geez, Jens, they're all staring at us.
Oh, yeah, there's Jeff and Barb. Why is she staring like that?
Well, maybe she's worried we got married and forgot to send the gift.
Well, next time, you make sure they know where we're registered.
Well, that's not funny. Yeah, come on, Jens, let's just get out of here.
Good evening, gentlemen. The table for 4.
Nope, just 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not waiting for the mademoiselles, the wives, the girlfriends?
Nope, we're together.
But of course. This way, gentlemen.
People are staring at us, Jens.
Oh, come on, I'm hungry.
Here we are, gentlemen. As you can see, everything about our establishment has been changed to foster romance tonight. Would you care to start with something from the bar?
Beer. Tap.
Very good, sir. And for the lady?
What?
Oh, apologies, sir. Forces have habit, you see. Beer also?
No, I couldn't take a beer right now.
Oh, then may I suggest something lighter? Perhaps a glass of white wine?
Sure, whatever.
White wine for the lady. Oh, apologies, sir. White wine for the messieurs. I will be back shortly to take your order.
Well, I know what I want. You got that prime rib still?
Of course, that is the special this evening.
Carve me up a slab, Frenchie.
Very good, monsieur. And for the gentleman.
Jens, I don't want to be here.
Quit your belly aching. You're hungry, aren't you?
Not no more. Let's just go back to the fish house.
Order something.
I don't want nothing.
He'll have the prime rib, too.
No, I won't.
Oh, calm down. Jeez.
I couldn't keep it down.
The gentleman has an upset stomach. Or perhaps a small side salad.
Thanks. That sounds good. No dressing.
A shame. Our house dressing is a delightful vinaigrette, perhaps on this side.
Yeah, that sounds good.
One prime rib with the house beer, 1 white wine with the small side salad, dressing on the side. I shall return in a moment with your drinks.
Can't believe you talked me into this.
Oh, would you quit it already?
We look like idiots, Jens, stuck here in the middle of a restaurant made to look like my wife's sewing room.
Oh, it's not that bad.
All they need is some cats, just hundreds of pictures of cats.
Look, if it makes you feel any better, we'll eat up and just scoot on out.
Or we could just, go over to McDonald's.
McDonald's? What have they got there that we want?
Well, a burger that doesn't come with a dozen pair of eyes staring at us. Jeez, you're always getting me into stuff like this.
Quit your complaining.
You know what your problem is, Jens? You never think of no one but yourself.
Everyone looks out for number one. I'm no different.
Dumb as a bag of hammers.
What's that?
You're as dumb as a bag of hammers.
Wish I had a bag of hammers right now. It'd shut you up. Come on, Dougie.
You called to talk to me that way.
You're so sensitive.
Yeah, and you know it too. Doesn't keep that trap of yours shut. Just like once, I'd like to go somewhere without you making a scene.
What?
Huh?
No, it's just the way you said that right now. Made me think, Almost like I'm out with the wife.
We ought to be, Valentine's and all.
You wanted to come fishing. You said so.
Yeah, well, I didn't think. I didn't realize it was Valentine's. Cripes, I should probably call her.
Oh, sit where you're at. Wait for your white wine.
Would it hurt you to think of someone else?
What's up with you tonight?
You're insensitive and cruel, and you don't give a hoot about anyone else.
I take you fishing, don't I? I take you up to the shack.
Never take me anywhere I want to go.
All right, where do you want to go?
Don't forget it. You don't even know what a buddy is, much less how to act like one.
Look, I take you fishing, I take you hunting. We've had some good times, right?
Forget the past. This is today I'm talking about.
Too sensitive.
I'm just like when we first met.
Keep your voice down. Everybody's staring.
Whoa, now you're worried that they're staring. Now that they're staring at you.
Fine. Do you want to go? Is that it?
No, I don't want to go.
Here comes that waiter again. Just keep your voice down.
Here we are, gentlemen. One house beer and a white wine. Would you like the salad now, monsieur, or with your partner's order? I'll have it now. He ain't no partner of mine. Very good.
You're gonna finish that salad too soon. Order the prime rib.
I don't want the prime rib. I just want to go home.
Every time we go out, it's something like this.
Well, if it bothers you so much, don't invite me.
Invite you? All I gotta do is slam the back door. You're practically hopping the fence to see where I'm going. What are you smiling about all of a sudden?
I was just thinking about that time up at White Bear Lake.
Oh, yeah, that muskie would swim under the boat.
You got so tangled up, I thought you choked yourself to death.
That wasn't funny, you know. Oh, all right, it was kind of funny. Oh, man.
Oh, that one time.
Oh, that outdoor show in Duluth, you couldn't get that rut call to work?
Oh, and you got the giggles while the salesman was trying to say that's just how it was.
Oh, Bud got us kicked out of the deck. Oh. How come we fight, Dougie?
I don't know. Because we can, I suppose.
Come on. What do you say you get that prime rib?
It'll just... all that fat will go straight to my hips. What?
Well, nothing.
You think it will, won't you?
No, I never said nothing, all right?
Can't go anywhere with you.
This has been In From the Cold. Caleb Silvers, Justin Kaplan, Mitchell Erickson, and Ayla McIntosh. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of the first half of our big show. We're going to take about a 10 or 15-minute break. For those of you here in the Salty Jester, the bar is open, I believe. For those of you listening online, we're going to go to the intermission show in just a moment. You're listening to the Icebox Radio Theater, coming to you live from International Falls, Minnesota. In just a few minutes, Caleb Silvers and Ayla McIntosh will be back for a visit to the world of bullets and book drops as we present the world premiere of Lance Manley and the Case of the Long Lost Love. And stay tuned later on as Mitch Erickson graces the Jester stage and David Finney's How Love Came to Louis Polanski. First off, though, in this half, this is usually the place where we try and tickle your funny bone with a spoofy-type commercial, but as a change of pace, we wanted instead to offer up a real advertisement for a new business here on 3rd Street in the Falls that we really hope does well. It's Northwild Books, the new bookstore at 438 3rd Street. That's right next door to Coffee Landing. Northwild Books offers new, used, young adult, and adult titles, and they're gearing up for a big opening very, very soon. Now, for right now, you can check out the store during their preview hours, which are just Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's a warm, welcoming space with comfy chairs, a plethora of books, and, of course, coffee at the Coffee Landing right next door. So come see the Falls new bookstore and say hello to the owner-operator, Angela Davis. Northwild Books, 438 3rd Street, open Saturdays, 10 to 2. I was going to say except unfortunately tomorrow, but then she wrote me yesterday, and Angela said they will be doing their hours tomorrow. You guys remember when the bakery downtown, what their hours are? 10 to 2. So come down 10 o'clock, downtown International Falls. There's goodies and all kinds of things going on. That's Northwild Books right next door to the Coffee Landing. Too Bright, the only book light on the market that can replace your knife and your gun, presents Lance Manley, Library Detective.
If you took all the books and all the libraries in the world, made a cross-reference for the word romance, I bet the majority of titles in your catalog would pop up blinking. Poems, fiction, non-fiction, it doesn't matter. The authors of the world can't seem to kill enough trees to cover the subject of pitching woo. So you would think the hallowed stacks of the old public would be a very romantic place, right? Wrong. We're all business at your local library. And even when things look to be turning pink hearts and red roses, there's usually a dark, unseen side that makes me want to trade Cupid's bow for my trusty 38. Take as a for instance, a situation that popped up recently involving the lovely cataloger Nora Diamond and a man from her past. The story had everything a good romance needs: obsession, kidnapping, gunplay, and murder. Stick around and I'll wax poetic about the whole thing right after this important word.
We'll be back to Lance Manley in just a moment. But first, friends, it's an election year, which means seeing things as they really are is more important than ever. Don't be fooled by fake promises and flimsy platforms. Shine the bright light of freedom on your local candidates and councils with a new booklight from Too Bright. Yes, intrusive regulation and leftist do-gooders worried about things like how many children were blinded by our booklights last year can't hide the fact that a Too Bright booklight gives you all the illumination you could possibly need, and then some. Illumination enough to see that true freedom comes at a cost. What's a few burned retinas and sky-high electric bills compared to the knowledge that you've done your part to make America a country that looks like you, that thinks like you, that's a free country for you. So do your part today. Order a Too Bright catalog by sending $1.50 to Catalog, Prisoner 32575, Joliet Penitentiary, Joliet, Illinois. And now we return to Lance Manley, Library Detective.
There's a million stories in the naked city. Tales like this often start that way. But that old chestnut of an opening didn't match up to this story of love, loss, and bullets. At least not in the beginning. In the beginning, Nora and I were bantering over the reference desk, wry smiles on our faces, as we enjoyed a few quiet moments before the next patron walked up to the desk and ruined everything. What I didn't know was just how bad the intrusion could be, and just how far I'd go to protect the woman in the white linen suit from everything, including her own past.
So, tell me, Lance,
Yes, Angel?
what exactly are you paid to do around here if not bother the reference librarian?
Keep an eye on things, of course. Bothering the reference librarian is an extra service I'm offering this week.
Better offer it 2 for 1. I think your supply outstrips demand.
But my supply of witty banter is infinite.
Careful. An economist would say that makes it worthless.
Tough to make time around here with Adam Smith leering over my shoulder.
Oh, if time is what you need, I can make sure you have all the time in the world.
Time with you.
Time with a good book. Alone.
Ouch, dollface. There's no need to make fun of my 100 years of solitude.
Sounds toxic enough to be loved in the time of cholera.
Do you think anyone's getting these references?
Oh, where's the fun in that? But seriously, Lance, I have work to do. If I don't get these YA titles processed and on the shelves by the end of the day, Effie's gonna have my tail in a sling.
If your goal is to get me to leave you alone, reminding me of that tale of yours isn't the way to do it.
Rude.
Why?
Well, if you're gonna compliment a lady on a body part, you're at the wrong end. Look higher. Higher still. Tell me about my eyes.
You mean those limpid pools of lustrous beauty I could drown in and be happy for the swim?
That's a good start. But seriously, Lance, run along. Effie'll fire us both if she catches us. No.
Catches us? No? Is that some sort of surreal banter the kids are into these days?
It can't be.
Well, it can. I just prefer the old-fashioned private dick and his lady type.
Lance, promise me whatever happens next, you'll behave.
Nora, you're as white as a ghost. What is it?
A man just came into the library. He's headed this way. Now promise me you'll behave.
That character. What about him? Do you know him or something?
Lance.
Oh, all right. Calm down.
Thank you.
Hello, miss. Is this reference? Because I have a question.
Hello, Lawrence.
Well, you do remember me.
Hard to forget. Lawrence, this is Lance Manley. You'll want to remember him.
And why is that?
Well, he handles the security around here. If there's any trouble, he takes care of it. Understand?
Doesn't look so tough to me. Are you tough, Mr.
Manley. Lance Manley. Not particularly tough, but they do pay me to keep an eye on things. Are you something I should keep my eye on, Mr.
Lawrence Barrymore, Ph.D.
A doctor, huh? Doc, I have a terrible rash. Let me show it to you.
Not that kind of doctor, imbecile. Library and information science. If you'd read anything in the field, you would surely have heard of me.
I'll get to that right after Go Dog Go.
Are you sure? Reading at a university level looks beyond you.
Hey, if Dr. Seuss doesn't stop me, nothing will.
Well, rest assured, I don't intend to make trouble in this library.
Good.
I simply intend to take what's mine and be on my way.
And what exactly do we have that belongs to you, Dr. Barrymore?
The services of a young cataloger. A woman who wouldn't have risen above shelving tech without me. A woman who owes me her career, her salary, her life, if it comes to that.
And that sounds an awful lot like a threat. Why don't you try your cryptic remarks elsewhere, bub? I can recommend a few public toilets if you're looking for a venue.
Now, what's that supposed to mean?
It means scram.
Well, this is a public library, is it not? I'll leave when I please.
See if this pleases you.
What? Unhand me!
All right, we'll try it the hard way.
My arm! You ruffian, you're going to break it!
Oh, that's ridiculous. I'm going to almost break it. That's how I encourage you to go away.
You can't make me
Well, Doc, what do you say?
Very well. You've not heard the end of this, Manley. No one lays hands on me in that matter and gets away with it.
Fine. Next time I'll just shoot you from a respectable distance.
Nora, is this what you want? To slave away in some cut-rate library in such a bad neighborhood that hoodlums are required to keep order?
Oh, this place may be a little rough around the edges, but it's home now. I wish you'd respect that, Lawrence.
You've been hanging around with these thugs too long. Come back with me. Help me continue my work. There must be some part of you that wants to. After all, you left without saying a word. As if you were ashamed.
I am ashamed of how I left. It was cowardly. But that was a long time ago. I've moved on. You should too.
And if I decide not to move on?
I think that's where I come in.
I see. Your watchdog has fangs, huh? Well, I'll be in town for another day. I'm staying at the Regent if you come to your senses, Nora. As for you, Manley, I won't forget you.
And I'll remember you, Doc, every time I scratch that rash. The nerve of that guy.
Lance?
Angel, what's wrong?
Just come back behind the desk, please.
Okay. What is it?
Hold me.
You don't have to ask me twice. Nora, you're shaking.
I know. Please, don't let go until it stops.
That was how it all started. I didn't think much of Lawrence Barrymore when I first saw him, but Nora assured me he could be as vicious as a badger when he got his dander up. And he pulled enough weight in the library community to make it rough on her, our boss Effie Standish, and especially me. Sometime earlier, Nora had told me the whole story of the two of them, how she'd been Barrymore's assistant, helped him write his book, and how their many late nights at work had led to an affair. When she broke it off, she knew she had to get some distance or Barrymore's temper would have made her life unlivable. That's how she came to be at our little library, a place she never wanted to leave, or so she said. I never had any reason to doubt her until the day Boss Lady burst into my office with a crumpled, tear-stained piece of paper in her hand.
Manley, what did you do?
My sins are many, boss. You'll have to be a little more specific.
This. Nora has resigned. No reason given. No 2 weeks' notice. Nothing.
I hereby resign my position as cataloger at The Public. Signed, Nora Diamond.
Oh, good. I always wondered if you could read. Now tell me, what did you do to drive her away?
I know you'd love it to be my fault, boss, but I have to disappoint you. This is the work of Lawrence Barrymore.
Barrymore? You mean her old boss?
The same. He swung in here yesterday talking large and making with the veiled threats. Tell me, is he really a big stick in your field?
The biggest. His theory and practice of digital cataloging is the definitive work on the subject.
So I've been told. I'll still wait for the movie. I know Nora's handwriting, and this resignation looks stressed, if she wrote it at all.
You think it's forged?
Forged or traced. Or forced. Whatever the case, it's reason enough to track her down.
Well, get tracking, Flatfoot. If that girl's in trouble, I'll hold you personally responsible.
Yeah, me too. I was in a hurry, so I hit the bricks right away. Nora's phone, disconnected. Her apartment, she'd broken her lease and moved out. Effie gave me the name of the library where Nora and Barrymore had a history together, and what I learned there made my blood run cold. Shortly after Nora left, Barrymore had a nervous breakdown. He's been in and out of mental institutions ever since, and though those records are supposed to be sealed, a 2-hour drive to one of those booby hatches, and a sawbuck to the janitor, told me Barrymore was violent, unstable, and very vengeful. Exactly the kind of guy we let out onto the street when the budget cuts hit. What a country. All this lit a fire under my feet, but it didn't get me any closer to finding her. That's when I turned to the place of last resort for any private detective, the police. I'd kept out of the way of the badge and billy club set as best I could over the years, but I still had my fair share of enemies there, and a few friends. The friends included one grizzled old desk sergeant I'd done a favor for once. I don't want to think Sergeant Harry Jones was my last hope, but it was beginning to look that way.
Hold on, I'm coming. Oh, it's you.
Oh, why the warm greetings, Sergeant? Department having a goodwill campaign.
Can it, Manley? I can get in trouble just for talking to you.
What did I do to anybody?
That's just the principle. Department don't like cops without badges.
I got a badge. Took me 5 tins of Ovaltine, and I'm a junior detective now.
I thought you did your wisecracking down at the public library. What's with the visit? You better not want anything.
I want something.
Hearing aids, maybe. Get lost, Manley.
Oh, come on, Sarge. I got a tough one. You heard of a big shot librarian in town? Name of Barrymore?
I don't know from librarians, but I know we've ticketed a character named Barrymore a couple of times this week.
Ticketed? What for?
Automotive violations.
You gotta give me something, Sarge. It's a matter of life and death.
Well, then it should be a police matter, shouldn't it?
I don't think Barrymore's broken any laws just yet, but there could be a kidnapping rap in it. He's the ex-boss, and ex-other things, to a co-worker of mine. I think he snatched her up.
So you want to file a complaint?
I want to find her.
Can't help you.
At least tell me the kind of car he drives. I'll cruise around until I see it.
Oh, well, he drives a 1958. None of your damn business, Manley.
That's the way it is, huh?
That's the way it is.
I just thought things might have been different considering that help I gave. Laura? How is your niece, by the way?
Better. Getting her into that program instead of juvie was just the ticket. She hasn't stolen nothing in almost a year now.
Kleptomania is tough to shake, but she's young. She's getting help. She should be fine.
Yeah. Look, Manley, it's my job if I tell you anything about this Barrymore character, but one thing to know?
Yeah?
He's been pulled over multiple times for a broken taillight.
Which side?
Passenger. Looks like he was in a fender bender. It scraped off some of the midnight blue paint.
Check. Thanks, Sarge. I owe you.
You cleared those fines for Laura. Consider us even.
Jones was a good guy. A year earlier, his niece, a mousy girl all of 16, was found to be in possession of half the cosmetics counter from a local drugstore, without paying for any of it. She also had $1,000 worth of library materials. None of them checked out. I cleared those fines for her, and that was the difference between a cot among the hard cases at juvenile hall and real help in a hospital. I guess Jones felt his debt to me had been paid with his broken taillight lead, which sent me grumbling back onto the street. It didn't feel like much of a lead, but it was all I had. Then I saw a midnight blue heap with garbage bags in the back seat, a side window so filthy I couldn't make out the driver, and a broken taillight. I kept my distance for a while, but couldn't make out the heap's destination. It just seemed to be circling the streets aimlessly. I did manage to look through the back window long enough to see that there were 2 people in the car, and the person occupying the passenger seat looked very familiar and very lovely. To make matters worse, it started to rain. I nearly lost them 2 or 3 times before I saw the heap turn down 3rd Street and make a beeline to the public. The library was closed by then, but I had a hunch that wouldn't stop Barrymore. They pulled into the parking lot. I turned out my lights and parked across the street. Through the streaks of rain that ran down my window, I could just make out Barrymore dragging Nora toward the main entrance. Before I could get to them, he'd forced her to unlock the door with her passkey and pushed her inside. By the time I followed suit, they were nowhere to be seen. This time, I remembered my trusty .38. I had it out and ready as I moved as silently as I could on the hard tile floor. I cleared the fiction section, non-fiction, reference. No soap. It was like Nora and Barrymore had disappeared in a puff of smoke. That's when I heard it. From above, a metal door closed loudly. There's only one metal door on the 2nd floor, and where it led made ice water trickle down my spine. He dragged Nora to the roof.
That's close enough, Manley.
Barrymore and Nora were across the roof, inches away from the low lip that separated the 2 of them from thin air. He had Nora in the human shield position, his arm around her neck, and a cute little automatic pistol pressed against her temple. Even from a distance, I could tell she was terrified.
Let go of my neck or I'll gut you like a fish.
Okay, maybe not terrified, but she was something.
Stay right there, Manley. 1 step closer and the cataloger gets it.
Relax, Barrymore. I'm not here to cause trouble. Look, I'll make you a trade. I'll put away my gun if I can walk a few steps closer.
Don't. Not 1 single step. I said not 1 step.
That wasn't 1 step. That was 3.
Lance, quit playing with him. This nut job is serious.
Stop calling me that, Nora. All you've done is argue with me all day.
Well, and all you've done is kidnap me. Arguing is the least I'm gonna do.
Look, Lawrence, you're just making it tougher on yourself. Your only good option at this point is to turn yourself in.
And why on earth would I do that?
You're trapped on a roof in a rainstorm with no escape.
Oh, there's always an escape, Manley. The ultimate escape. Nora and I going to eternity together.
Hold on. Think about this. You'll be denying the world your genius, Lawrence.
Oh, come now, Manley. A compliment from you? I'm not that crazy.
What if Nora went with you willingly?
Lance?
Not to eternity, you understand. But back to your library. You could have your work. You could have Nora. Ask her, and I bet she'd go with you willingly now that you've proven how much you love her.
What?
Beats a hole in the head, right, Precious?
I see your point. It's true, Lawrence. I would go with you.
You would? Willingly?
I hadn't realized how much you needed me before now. How important I am to your work.
Oh, Nora. Nothing was right after you left. The publisher wanted a 2nd edition, and I couldn't figure out how to turn on the computer. And then I accidentally erased the whole thing. I thought formatting a hard drive would make it more organized.
Well, in a sense, it does. I promise you it will all get better, Lawrence. But you have to let go of me, and you have to put down that gun.
I don't know. Can I trust you?
You always could before. Remember the good old days? Working together into the wee hours? That wonderful day when the first copies of your book arrived from the publisher?
Oh, I was so excited. I fired 2 techs for insubordination.
They weren't happy enough for you.
But you were. You always were. Oh, Nora, what happened to us?
Oh, don't think about that now. That's the past. Let's focus on the future.
You mean we have a future?
Let me go and I'll show you.
Well, okay.
Oh, much better. I can see you now, and that gun was getting uncomfortable.
Yes, I'm so sorry about that, but I think I'll point it at the Flatfoot just in case.
Lawrence!
Get that hand out of your coat, Manley, and put him up while you're at it.
Take it easy.
Lawrence, you don't need to do this.
Do you think I'm stupid, Nora? Do you think I'd fall for your ridiculous femme fatale routine?
Hey, I'll stand for a lot, but calling her femme fatale ridiculous is going too far.
Now this is what's going to happen, Manley. You're going to walk over to the other side of the roof, as far away from that door as possible. Nora, you're going to go down to the car, and I'll be along presently.
What are you going to do?
Nothing you need to concern yourself with, my dear. Besides, I'd rather not have a witness.
You'll never get away with this, Barrymore. The cops will be all over you the minute you pull out of the parking lot. They've ID'd your car, you know.
Oh, yes, the tail light. I've been meaning to get that fixed, but you raise a good point, Manley. I can't afford to be pulled over again. Keys.
What?
Your car keys. Remove them from your pocket and toss them to me. You'll drive away in your car, and the police will be none the wiser.
Until I call them, that is.
Well, that'll be awful tough to do with a bullet in your brain.
It's that serious, huh?
It's that serious.
Well, then, I suppose I'll have no choice but to do this. Ow, my nose! Get his gun, Angel.
I'll get his gun
Hey, give me that!
and use it to smash his ugly face.
Nice pistol whip, dollface. You went right over the side.
That was the plan. I just have one regret.
What's that?
This is only a 2-story building.
Ow!
Can he run?
I don't think so. Legs don't usually bend that way.
Owie! Owie! Owie!
That was the hospital. Lawrence Barrymore is resting comfortably.
Handcuffed to the bed.
And with a police guard on his door.
Oh, he'll live, huh? More's the pity.
Relax, dollface. You put that character in his place. And when he heals up and stands trial, he won't be bothering you for several decades.
Oh, one can only hope. I'm sorry, Lance.
Sorry? What for?
Well, putting you through all that. If I'd put Lawrence in his place in the beginning instead of running away like I did, maybe none of this would have happened.
You can't excuse the actions of a crazy person, Angel. And you were plenty brave there at the end.
It was all talk until he pointed the gun at you. At that point, all I saw was red.
You'd kill for me, huh?
Of course not. Just injure and maim.
It must be true love, then. Come here.
Oh, if you insist.
Manley, is Nora up there with you?
Saved by the bell?
She's here, boss.
Well, get her downstairs right now. She needs to finish processing those YA titles.
What's so important about these books?
There's a wait list a mile long, that's what. Just get her down here.
Duty calls.
Seriously, what's up with these books?
You mean A Young Girl's Guide to Sex and 101 middle school pickup lines?
Romance is truly in the air these days.
You have no idea.
Away with you, darling. Your public awaits.
This has been Lance Manley Library Detective, brought to you by Two Bright, the brightest booklight on the market. Now with warning labels for pansies. Lance Manley, in the Case of the Long Lost Love, was written by yours truly, Jeffrey Adams, from characters suggested by Thomas Perkins IV. Ayla McIntosh was Nora. Diane Adams was Effie. Justin Kapla played Lawrence Barrymore. Jeffrey Adams was Sergeant Jones. And Caleb Sobers is Lance Manley. How about a big hand one more time? Okay. Well, before we move on here, I want to let everyone online and here in the Jester to just remind you, you're listening to the Icebox Radio Theater from the Salty Jester in International Falls, Minnesota. Just want to take a moment, remind everybody, both here in the club and online, that the IBRT is a nonprofit organization that depends on donations and support from you, the beautiful listener, to keep going. Here at the Jester, there's a big glass jar up front for donations. And for you online, we have a support page at our website, iceboxradio.org. And for both groups, the IBRT is now an official Venmo charity with the handle at Icebox Radio 51. There's also a QR code on the donation if you would care to make a donation that way. So please consider helping us out today. Well, it was back in 2008 that David Finney, an instructor at the Illinois School of Broadcasting, first sent us the script to our next play, How Love Came to Louis Polanski. It's a wonderful story taken from Finney's own experiences growing up in Wisconsin, dreaming of true love while agonizing over how to talk to girls and enjoying some of the most depressing popular music ever recorded. We do love this. You'll see what I mean. We do love this play so much that we're proud to present it again tonight. Once again, featuring actual teenagers from Falls High School in the roles. We should probably mention this was Justin Kaplan's very first play with the IBRT. Would we say 08? Yes. Applause for work you did 14 years ago. 16. He's cast more to type this time around. Mitchell Erickson isn't. Mitchell Erickson was cast perfectly. He was just a babe. What did we decide? 2 years old when we first did this play? Look at him now. He's in the title role, that is, of course, as Louis Polanski. So, without further ado, the Icebox Radio Theater presents David Finney's How Love Came to Louis Polanski.
I've been having this dream. I'm sitting at the soda counter in Kunka's drugstore, feeling sad, lonely, staring into my empty phosphate glass. And I look 3 stools down and, oh, there she is, Kathy Scarban. Oh. And I say, of all the drugstores in all the world, she walks into mine. And when I look up, she's standing next to me and she says,
You want to date me?
Oh, geez, I say, sure I do. And she leans in close to me and says,
Well, then all you've got to do is whistle. You know how to do that, right? You just put your lips together and blow.
And I pucker and... And then she says,
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful relationship.
And right there, right when she says that, I wake up. Like I heard a shot, and I think, geez, I got it bad for this girl.
Icebox Radio Theater presents How Love Came to Louis Polanski.
Love's kind of funny, you know. I mean, you know, not ha-ha funny, but the way it happens. You look up one day and you're in love. There it is. Hits you in the face, and you never thought about it, but, you know, you're in love. Like the day I look back at Kathy Scarban, I remember the date, January 27th, 1960. We were standing in the main hallway at Low Valley High School in Wisconsin.
I'm not getting it.
What?
Predicates.
Predicates, that's what Kathy says to me. And I look at her and wham, I'm in love. Oh, we're standing outside Old Man Rob's English class, and she says predicates, and I'm in love. And so I say, what's not to get?
They're in a sentence, right? So where do you find them?
She looks so cute, her little face all scrunched up with worry and her thumb stuck in the middle of sophomore English 104. And I took the book and said, look, right here, see? And I read in my most soothing masculine voice, the child is very sleepy. Is very sleepy is the predicate. It tells you something about the subject, see?
Oh.
Her face unscrunched and her cute little lips curled up, and she touched my hand. Something went through me like I'd put my finger in a socket.
Louis, you know stuff.
I wanted to tell her everything then about verbs and nouns and prepositions.
Thanks.
She started to turn away. I had to stop her, had to keep her talking, had to keep her near me. And something else really important. I almost shouted.
What?
Predicates always include the verb.
Oh, yeah.
And then she was gone down the hallway. And I was all messed up. After school, I couldn't get on the bus. She would be there, and I couldn't look at her. Our eyes would meet. She would see that I loved her. It would be embarrassing. I walked slowly to the bus door and stepped in like Stephen McQueen approaching the Blob. She wasn't there. Oh, but my best friend AJ was.
You look sweaty.
Shut up.
What? You don't look good, that's all.
I don't feel too good.
You okay?
I think I'm in love.
Doesn't look good on you.
Shut up.
It's just a joke, just a joke.
Not funny.
Okay. Who you in love with?
A moment of confession. I never talked to anyone like this, but me and AJ were best friends. You gotta trust your best friend. So I whispered, Kathy Scarban.
Kathy Scarban?
Would you keep it down? Gosh.
Kathy Scarban?
I can't help myself.
She dates Otto Tomczyk.
Tomczyk? She doesn't wear his ring.
They date.
Who says?
Jimmy Hoyta on the wrestling team. He told me.
Otto Tomczyk was on the wrestling team. He'd won a state championship in his junior year. Everyone figured he'd win another one this year. Tomczyk, 200 pounds of angry muscles that like to crush stuff.
You haven't got a chance.
How do you know?
Look, you got two types of guys in high school. Sports guys and slime.
I'm good at stuff.
You like movies. You write for the school newspaper and you can read. You're worthless.
You think?
Sports guys, they get girls. The rest of us, we get lonely.
Between 4 and 6 every Monday and Wednesday, I rang up groceries at my dad's store. It was pretty boring, so to kill time, I'd nibble cookies and inhale ice cream cones. I stood at the ice cream freezer loading up a sugar cone with fudge swirl, and I tried to work through my anguish. How'd I get this thing for Kathy? I'd known her for years, never felt anything. And now here I was twisted up like a Frito. While I was trying to work out this puzzle, in walks Orville Kowalski. He was a lumberjack who'd hauled timber to the paper mill in town.
Afternoon, kid.
Hi, Orville.
You okay?
Yeah, what do you mean?
You look funny.
Am I sweating?
Nah, just... I don't know.
Maybe it's the sugar.
Yeah, you should lay off that stuff. It gives you zits.
Zits?
Yeah, up around your forehead there.
It was more than I could take. And one day I'd fallen in love, and then I discovered I was disfigured. Is it bad?
It could be worse.
What does that mean?
Put toothpaste on them.
Toothpaste?
Dries them up, they go right away.
Really?
Gone in a flash. Listen, I need 10 pounds of plowboy.
10 pounds?
Yeah, horses got a fever.
What's the tobacco do?
You boil it in water for an hour, pour the water in their feed, and it cuts the fever.
No kidding.
Works magic.
10 pounds? Wow, this ain't gonna be cheap.
Whatever it takes. I love those horses.
Love? Orville's smelling like pine trees, big blistered fingers, cap with ear flaps on it. Orville Kozlowski, the lumberjack in love. Oh, sure, with horses, but still love. He'd been there, sort of. I had to ask. You ever get beyond horses?
Girls?
Yeah.
Once.
How'd it go?
Made me worry.
Made you worry?
Yeah, you know. Will she like this? Will she like that? Will this fit her?
So what happened?
I went back to horses. Easier.
See, what I couldn't understand was how all this Kathy Scarban stuff had happened. We'd grown up together, went to grade school, played on the swings, bicycled together. Her dad ran the cheese factory outside of town, and when we were little, we'd sneak into the cooler and eat cheddar bits. Now we weren't little, and she was good-looking, and, well, it was all tough to figure out.
Let's see, 3753, 1856, 28 and 40.
My dad spent 90 hours a day, 90 hours a day in a little office at the back of our store, paying bills and adding up charge accounts.
That's 15, 26, 12, 81, 20, and 90.
I wasn't going to interrupt him, but I kind of needed to talk, guy to guy.
43, 32, 96. Okay.
Dad?
That was 5, 16, and 28.
Dad?
Louis. Hey, what's up?
I can come back.
No. Stay. Talk.
Well, I've been thinking about doing something.
And?
Just, thought I'd,
Clue me in?
Yeah.
Clue me in?
Oh, okay. Well, I've been thinking about asking Kathy Scarban out.
Oh, Harry Scarban's kid? She's a little cutie.
Dad?
I'm just saying she's a very pretty girl.
Yeah, and she is. I thought I'd see if she'd go out with me.
Good idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, I think it's time.
For what?
For you to get out more, to date.
Oh.
Where are you going to take her?
See, that's it. Where should I go?
Well, Louie, women always got somewhere they want to go. Just ask her.
Really?
Trust me.
Okay. Dad?
Yeah?
See, I don't get something. I mean, me and Kathy, we were little kids together, but now...
Now?
I got feelings.
Oh. Feelings.
Yeah.
Okay. Louie, you're getting older, and when a boy matures...
Dad, I know about human reproduction.
You do?
I saw a movie.
You saw a movie?
In school.
You saw a sex movie?
Dad, in gym, they showed a movie to the guys. You know, red arrows go down a tube, and if they hit a blue dot, you get a baby.
Oh, that movie.
Yeah, but that's not what I mean. I think this thing with Kathy, it's maybe love.
Oh, well, I know about that.
You, Dad?
Yes, me, Dad.
Well, how do I get to know?
Well, you just go with it, and after a while, you know.
Just go with it.
Yeah. Take her out. Get to know each other. Soon you'll know.
Work like that for you?
Uh-huh.
With Mom?
Yep.
Really?
We worked the men's counter at Prang's in Green Bay. We sold shirts together. Well, she sold shirts. I wasn't any good at it, but I could handle sales slips and do the math, so the cash register always would come out balanced. I was really jealous of her. I should be selling men's shirts, you know, that sort of thing. Anyway, one day she said to me, let's be a team. I'll sell the shirts, you handle the books. She was so nice about it. It didn't hurt my feelings at all. It made me feel good about what I could do. So I asked her out, and here we are.
Jeez, Dad, that's neat.
Teen angel, teen angel, teen angel.
It was my favorite song. I played it in my room every night.
The car was stalled up on the railroad track. I pulled you out and we were safe, but you were running back.
This is what love was all about.
Teen angel, can you hear me? Teen angel, can you see me? Are you somewhere up above? And am I still your own true love?
Orville had turned his back on love for horses, but Dad had gone for it.
That took your life that night. They said they found my high school ring clutched in your fingers tight.
I would have the pure, devoted love of Kathy Scarban.
Can you hear me, teen angel? Can you see me? Are you somewhere up above? And am I still your own true love?
A love forever, beyond the grave.
Just sweet 16, and now you're gone. They've taken you away. I'll never kiss your lips again. They buried you today.
I broke down and cried like a baby.
Teen angel, can you hear me? Teen angel, can you see me? Are you somewhere up above? And am I still your own true love? Teen angel.
Louie, are you gonna eat your bacon?
I'm not hungry.
Well, you gotta have breakfast.
Can't eat.
Because
Kathy Scarban.
she causes loss of appetite?
In me.
Because?
Because I think I got a thing for her.
Oh, well, she's a very nice girl.
That's what Dad said.
Really? You talked to your father about this?
Yeah, he said I should go with it and find out how I feel. He said he did that with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you were good at selling shirts at Prang's, and he was good at math. He wanted to team up, and he went with it and fell in love.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Is that the way it happened?
Pretty much.
So that's what I should do, huh? Ask her out?
Well, what's stopping you?
Otto Tomczyk. He dates her.
They go together or just date now and then?
I don't know.
Well, ask her for a date. She can only say no. That won't leave any bruises.
Otto might.
Louis, what do you mean?
He's on the wrestling team. He's got a lot of muscles. He won a championship last year.
So, he might get angry, but I don't think he'll throw a punch.
How do you know?
Louis, men only fight over women in the movies.
So I should do it, huh? Ask her?
Louis, life's a risk. But you gotta take it or you never learn.
I'm gonna ask her out.
You got a death wish?
Nothing's gonna happen.
Otto Tomczyk's gonna pound you into the ground like a steak.
I can take care of him.
He'll remove your fingernails first. And then he'll start with the toes.
It's just a date, no big deal.
Then he's gonna break a few little bones before moving on to the big ones.
Hey, cut it out.
What are you, nuts? Kathy Scarban isn't even in your league.
I'm not in any league.
That's actually worse than the point I was trying to make.
I like her, okay? I like her.
When have you scheduled your suicide?
I'll ask her tomorrow after algebra.
Dust to dust, ashes to ashes.
I gargled about 100 times that night, I'm sure of it. And I brushed my teeth about 300 times. I mean, no moose breath. I could have moose breath when I asked Kathy out. I gargled and brushed and gargled until my gums ached and the sun came up. Just before I got onto the bus, I put some of my dad's Old Spice behind my ears.
Oh, you smell so sweet.
Very funny.
No, I mean it. I want to take a bite out of it.
Shut up, AJ.
What's that white stuff on your neck?
Oh, toothpaste.
Toothpaste. Of course. Goes great on the neck.
I forgot to wash it off.
And you put it on your neck for...
Zits.
Zits.
Dries them up. I use it all the time.
Toothpaste for zits.
Yep.
And you learned about this how?
Orville Kozlowski. He told me.
That lumberjack guy told you toothpaste cured zits.
Yeah, and I've been using it and mine have gone down.
Louis, you gotta be kidding.
No, I've been using it for a few days. Want to get rid of them before I ask Kathy out, and they're almost gone. Check my forehead.
They do seem smaller. What do you know?
See?
You know, Louis, she'll never say no to the Colgate kid.
And then there she was, standing by her locker. Gosh, she was so pretty, and she wasn't going to go out with me. What was I thinking? And then I noticed my feet were walking towards her, and the rest of me was going along for the ride.
Hi, Louis.
Hi.
Liked your piece in the paper.
Oh, you read it?
Had to like it.
Yeah.
You sure can write.
Yeah.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Things were going downhill fast. The problem was my tongue had swollen up to the size of Texas and was stuck to the roof of my mouth that made it hard to talk and breathe. I managed to squeak out, Kathy?
Yeah?
I get you're real busy, and I don't suppose, you got lots to do.
I'd love to go out.
You probably... What?
I'd like to go out with you.
Jeez, that was quick, man. Oh, all of a sudden I could breathe. Really?
Yeah, you're funny.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Where would you like to go?
Let's go skating at the Round Roof. I love to skate.
Okay, Saturday night. I'll pick you up at 7.
I'll be waiting.
I gave her a weak little wave goodbye. I really couldn't talk. All my hormones were running around my body, screaming insanely.
Hello.
I did it!
You got a date with Kathy Scarban.
I'm taking her skating Saturday night.
Skating?
At the Round Roof.
Louis, you can't skate.
I know. I wanted to take her to Psycho at the A&W, but she likes skating.
What are you gonna do?
No problem. You just put one foot in front of the other and just roll a little,
Right.
was flying, and nothing could stop me. I wasn't some zit-covered dork. I was Rock Hudson, and Elizabeth Taylor loved me. Friday afternoon, I bumped into AJ at the soda counter in Kunka's. Innkeeper, I said to the counter attendant, a phosphate for my buddy.
Why, thank you, lover boy.
Women can't resist.
Well, it must be true. Everyone's talking about your date at school.
When you got it, you got it.
Really?
Yep.
Well, here comes Otto Tomczyk. I guess he wants to take a look at it.
Otto?
On your right.
I turned to look, and there was Otto Tomczyk coming toward me, his cold, empty fisheye staring a hole in my head.
Louis, one word. Run.
I slid off the stool. This was high noon, where a man stood his ground. Gary Cooper time. Otto got real close to my face. I could see the hate and loathing and disgust in his angry eyes. I felt real sick. And then he held out his right hand, and I saw he was holding a Coke can. And then slowly, really, really slowly, he crushed it. And then he grabbed my hand and pressed it into my palm and walked away.
A man of few words.
I held up the mangled can and said to AJ, what's this?
You in miniature.
But, you know, the funny thing, I didn't see Otto the rest of the day. I looked around for him when I picked up Kathy up Saturday night, figured he might run out from behind her garage and rip my head off. But he didn't show. So we headed to the round roof. Jeez, it was great driving with Kathy. We could talk so easy, and I even made her laugh. Oh, the round roof was just that, a big wooden building built like a circle with a roller rink inside. As you skated around, a guy on stage played organ music. We got fitted for skates and put them on, and I don't know, I was beginning to feel, a little unsure because people were whizzing past us pretty fast. And then Kathy says,
Louis, can you skate?
Yeah, no problem. I can skate.
Because we don't have to do this. It's all right.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, come on.
I sort of rolled out to the edge of the rink without smashing into anything. But I wasn't fooling Kathy.
Louis, you can't skate.
Yeah, I can. It's just been some time. That's all.
All right, take my hand. We'll warm up a little.
Yeah, warm up. That'll be good. Mm-hmm. We got out onto the floor, people shooting by us like human bullets. And I grabbed her hand pretty tightly, and she squeezed back. And I put my feet out, and geez, I was gliding.
That's it.
Geez, one foot out, the other foot out. I was skating. Me, Louis Polanski, I was skating. Well, sort of, but...
You're getting it. Good.
I was skating. I was holding Kathy Scarvan's hand, and she was smiling and happy to be with me.
Come on, a little faster.
I leaned into it and pushed with my feet, picking up a little speed, and suddenly we were out in the crowded rink.
You're going great.
Oh, gosh, she was beautiful, and all the faces that whipped past me looked bright and happy, and I was skating, and everybody was laughing, and even Otto Tomczyk, and then I thought, Otto Tomczyk? He's here, and my head jerked up, and there he was running out of the crowd at me. And then I let go of Kathy's hand, and...
Louis!
Kathy! And I tried to glide out into the center of the ring, and wham! Otto hits me in the back, and I go flying. And now I'm Polanski, the killer torpedo, and people are running everywhere. And I'm trying to stop, and I can't stop, and wham! Otto pushes me again. And now I'm on death wheels, and everything's a blur, and the guy on the stage starts playing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and it's January! And then Otto's coming for me again, but this time I duck, and it's lights and faces and screaming people, and then up the head there's a big, flat, dark wall! Oh. And then I'm lying on my back, and Kathy's looking down at me.
Louis, you okay?
Kathy...
Oh, Louis, you can't skate. Why didn't you tell me?
You wanted to skate. I wanted it for you.
Oh, Louis.
And then Kathy Scarban leaned down and kissed me, softly on the lips. And I passed out.
Angel, can you hear me?
dated Kathy Scarban all senior year. She even wore my ring. When the story got around about what happened, everybody thought Otto Tomczyk was kind of crummy, and he disappeared from the scene. Kathy went to Carleton College in Minnesota, and I went to the University of Wisconsin in Madison. We wrote back and forth for a while, and well, then, life happened. We sort of drifted apart, and I'm dating this real nice girl right now, a chemistry major. She likes movies. Gee whiz, what a relief. Anyway, we were pretty serious. Like I said, love's funny, jumps around a lot. Don't you think?
This has been How Love Came to Louis Polanski. Written by David Finney. Maurice Boyer was Kathy Scarban. Caleb Silvers was AJ. Justin Kepler was Orville. Jeffrey Adams played Dad. Ayla McIntosh played Mom. And Mitchell Erickson was Louis Polanski. Well, that's our show for tonight, which means the after party is just beginning here in the Salty Jester. For those of you listening online, we return you now to your regularly scheduled program. Our next show is scheduled for April the 27th. The title is From Beyond, Science Fiction Stories. You've been listening to the Icebox Radio Theater. Good night.